60 seconds to comply.
I think you'd better do what he says, Mr. Kenny.
You have 60 seconds to comply. This is minute 81.
Part man.
Pod machine. All pod. This video begins with Joe saying, "And what do I find in the prison parking lot but a brand new 6000 SUX?" And ends with Joe armed and dangerous.
So my first note is, like, Joe's got himself a brand new SUX, but Clarence has a brand new toy. And you know when it's that thing when you have that minute locked away and you know it's coming and it's well off in the future and you can't wait to see it, then you suddenly realize, we're getting close. Yeah, I have been so looking forward to this minute.
Really? This one?
Because I freaking love this gun.
It's a BFG. It's a big frickin' gun.
It is so we've firmly established that I'm the gun guy pretty much in this podcast.
Yep, I'm the car woman, and you're the gun guy.
So we've already talked about the SUX, but this is the first time we get to see the the Cobra Assault Cannon. So, where do I start?
Let me count the ways.
So this is actually a real gun, like most of the guns in RoboCop. In the universe, it's basically just a hip-mounted mini-explosive rifle.
All right.
With what they called video targeting system, sorry.
Okay.
That, unfortunately, that effect got cut for budgetary reasons. But this is actually a real gun. It is a Barrett 50 caliber M82 sniper rifle. All they did was add the big boxy scope on top. The rest of that gun is the gun. The real. It's a US military. It's a US military grade sniper rifle.
What's it called? I want to have a closer look.
It's called the Barrett T M82. According to the Wikipedia, it's a recoil-operated semi-automatic anti-material sniper rifle.
That's a serious gun.
It is a very, very serious gun. So yeah, it's 50 caliber bullets, big chunky bullets. All I'm going to say is, according to the Wikipedia, and according to their technical manual, the maximum effective range of the M107 variant, which is a sniper rifle with a huge suppressor on the front, which is what I think these ones are. So even that big chunky box on the front of the gun is actually the suppressor. It has a lot of power to suppress, but it's not a silencer by any stretch of the imagination. The maximum effective range is 1,830 meters. That's how far away you can effectively kill someone with this thing.
My God. So is it classified as a sniper rifle, or what?
Yes.
What is it?
Yes, it is a sniper rifle.
But it packs a hell of a punch.
Oh yeah, you can headshot a person in one shot kill, headshot a person from a kilometer away.
In the movie, though, it's more like an explosion. Yep. Is that just for effect?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking, like, is it like a grenade launcher? What is it? How is it doing?
No. It's just a 50 caliber rifle bullet. It is just a gun. No explosion, no incendiary. This thing is designed to like punch through armor and stuff like that. And yeah, beating this. This is one of those guns where if you shoot someone from a kilometer away, they're dead before they hear it shoot out. So
not a bad way to go, but it reminds me. I think it was Chris Rock when he's talking about making bullets really expensive. But just a line, "Damn, he must have done something wrong."
Yeah, this is a U.S. military grade piece of arsenal.
Yeah.
The maximum range of this weapon...
Which in America you could probably buy at Walmart, I assume.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I believe this is like, it is pretty hard to get. They just, like, it's like a film studio. They'll probably just go, "Can we get guns?" And they go, "Yeah, sure, just don't shoot anyone with it."
Not to bring up the RoboCop remake just yet, but I feel like this is the kind of thing that Maddox has taped to the back of his toilet door.
Oh, God. Well, that's the thing. This is where I was going to get to in a bit, is that this gun doesn't need to be incendiary to take out RoboCop. This thing would punch through him. Like, one shot.
And then turn around and do it again several times, yeah.
Well, it is it's like semi-automatic. It's but it can be used, I think, bolt action. But yeah, so it's not a fast-firing weapon. It also... Okay, so this is a gun that also RoboCop uses at the end of the movie to take down Ed 209. It's got a bipedal stand. You have to use this. You cannot hip shoot this gun. If you hip shoot this gun...
No, unless you're RoboCop.
Yeah, even he uses the actual bipod. If you hip shoot this gun, the recoil is probably going to shoot it out of your hands. If you try and like put it up to your shoulder, you're going to end up at best with a dislocated shoulder. This has a hell of a kickback.
The coolest gun moment in any movie forever will be in Terminator 2 when Arnold Schwarzenegger is riding along on the motorcycle and he does the pump action on the shotgun with one hand. It's like, that's the fucking coolest shit ever.
Yeah, that gun, well, that's a real shotgun. It had to be heavily modified so they could do that.
Are you telling me that Arnie isn't just that powerful naturally?
No, it's about the length of the rifle. It's about the length of the barrel and the stock. That has to be shortened down because it has to be because it's a oh god, what you call it? I can't think of the bloody lock. It's like a ratcheting system, but yeah. So it had to be modified so they could do the spin gun thing. But that's a real thing that can happen. So yeah, the maximum effect, the maximum range, this is how far this gun can shoot. 4 kilometers. That is
I can't even visualize 4 kilometers. I just...
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So this is actually my favorite gun in the video game Delta Force. And I love being a sniper with this fucking gun.
Yeah, I've always been a sniper in most games, but this is the kind of weapon that you actually... It's reaching so far, you gotta use math to use it.
Well, that's it. Which one of the things I like about Delta Force is that you have to adjust the scope so you can get an accurate reading on how far away the target is so you can kill someone. Yeah.
Have you ever noticed that there aren't any snipers who are flat earthers?
Well, I can't really say. No, it's not less about curvature of the Earth and more about a trajectory. So the bullet will drop. Like, it's just gravity and speed can only get you so far. The bullet will drop. It was actually
about what do you call that? The however high something, the altitude from sea level. So it's not really the curvature, but
yeah. So it's one of those things where you literally can shoot upwards at a certain degree, and through the trajectory at a certain point, it will just curve down and kill motherfuckers. So yeah, it's a beast of a fucking weapon. And yes, without the explodiness, it would definitely take out a RoboCop, regardless of the universe. So yeah.
Have you ever fired a gun?
Me? Yes.
Have you ever fired 2 guns while jumping in the air?
Sadly, no.
Shame.
I've
always been curious. I've never done.
I wish I was that cool.
Yeah. I've never fired a gun, but I want to try everything at least once, so I am curious about it.
So, it's probably still around. There is a place in Perth called the Lone Gunman. It's a shooting range.
Yeah. And
I went there for a friend's Bucks night.
Type in Robocock for 20%.
God. Like, I'm not sure we want to shoot off our Robococks that early.
Yeah.
That'd be one hell of a sponsorship, though.
That's appropriate.
I went for a Bucks night almost 20 years ago, and it was like for like $100 back then. I think it was, you get to shoot. Oh god, I can't remember what the caliber was. It was very tiny caliber. It's like a rim shot. Was it .38 or something? I can't remember. It's a very, very small caliber gun, but you get like 50 rounds to use with a pistol and 50 rounds to use in a revolver, but this is after... So, I don't know if you recall, but like late 90s, early 2000s, there was a series of... I'm not sure how much of murder, but there was definitely a series of suicides that happened at gun ranges.
Oh, wow.
A lot of restrictions got put in place where, like, so unless you have a licensed firearm or own a licensed firearm, or like you're in good standing with like a shooting club, if you go to one of these gun ranges, you have to. They will install the gun, and it's on like a bar system and a wire system, so you can't turn the gun around onto yourself. You can't, you can't basically shoot yourself without literally climbing onto the gun range itself. So there's a lot of precautions in place to do that. But
so I guess for international listeners, in Australia, we used to have guns, and then I think it was during the Howard administration.
Port Arthur specifically was the main incident that got rid of our shotguns and rifles. But,
and you can own a gun, but they just stay in the gun range. I don't think you can actually take them out, except our police officers do have guns, and then I see them on farms, so I don't know.
I think there's special rules for rural areas, because, you need them for our indigenous life forms.
Yes.
But also, I don't know if it's changed. You can keep a gun on private property, but you need to have it needs to be fully registered, and you need a gun vault. And I believe the ammunition has to be kept separate from the gun. You can't keep a loaded gun, even if it's like a safe within a safe, to keep your ammunition separate from your gun. It could be different by now. But shooting a gun at a defenseless paper target is really fun.
Yes.
We might actually have to go and do that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'd love to go hunting one day. But, yes, I think you and I, hopefully in our Robocop OCP uniforms, I would love to go to gun range. That would be great.
That would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing. When I was at the gun range, I was witness to somebody shooting a shotgun in one of the booths, and I don't really, because so you wear ear protection and stuff like that, so that's fine. But I don't recall hearing the shotgun so much as feeling the blast in my stomach.
Oh my god!
Like, wow! Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very small. I wonder if I can I handle it, or am I going to be like friggin' Kermit the Frog trying to fire a weapon, blasted into a wall?
No, I mean, so the guns they start off, because it's basically like a newbie course they'll put you through. Like go through the gun safety, blah blah blah. It might be a bit different now because again, it was a long time ago. I'm just going to do a quick Lone Ranger's shooting complex in Belmont. So it looks like it's still open. So it's it's pretty cool. So just have a look at the website. I'm tempting fate looking at it again, and it is a quality tourism accredited business. So fun for the whole family.
Hell yeah.
But it is a lot of fun. I wouldn't even begin to try and use a live target, but no, I would say it's, if anything, it's worth a shot. Pun not intended, but totally. So here we go. It's a .22 caliber, I think is the starting one, or the starters one. Ooh. Sorry, I just noticed you can actually shoot a 9mm M1911, which is a very classic pistol that turns up in a lot of movies.
Nice.
I wonder if they've got a Desert Eagle. I really hope they've got a Desert Eagle.
It's funny when it comes to the way we, I don't know, treasure certain kinds of machinery. So, me with my car, so the car show today.
Yeah.
And it's just whenever I see a Saab or a Pontiac, or every once in a while a Studebaker, it's the highlight of my day. Just, oh my god, okay, anyone else seeing this? Oh my god, and no one else gives a shit, you know?
Yeah.
And same thing with guns. People go nuts for certain kinds of guns, and what is it about that particular gun? I don't know, man.
I think one of it is our love of media, especially it's like media like this, like RoboCop, where there's a lot of guns in this movie, and I've really not really kept track of most of them, because for the first part, they're not interesting guns, they're just a gun.
Yeah.
But then you look at something like the Cannon Assault, the Cobra Assault Cannon and the Auto 9. These really interesting, just bizarre-looking things that have such a tremendous amount of power behind them, like the power behind the Auto 9, the 3-round shots, and just this destructive power. You just can't help but go, ooh.
The first gun that I ever really noticed was I think it's called the P90, which is this machine gun that they use in Stargate, and it's such a weird looking thing, and it's fun. I really love that design, and it became such a character on its own in the show.
I think the one I was first drawn to was a Beretta 9mm, because I found a really cool funky toy gun that actually had a pullback slide that made a sound. And that was one of the first guns I would spin, but probably even before that would be the Walther PPK, which is of course the James Bond gun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a fairly ordinary looking gun.
Yeah, but it's more associated with, back in the 80s, not just James Bond, but also The Equalizer, which was also a popular show in the 80s starring Edward Woodward. A great name.
It's very elegant. Edward Woodward. Edward. Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's one of those names you don't know when to stop. No, you don't know where to start. You just don't sometimes know when to stop.
Yeah.
Edward. Because Edward Woodward.
Edward Woodward. We're gonna stop.
I guess that is an actual legitimate sentence. What would Edward Woodward do? Edward Woodward. Oh, okay. Now that the technical difficulties are back on track, and
we managed to get about half an hour, 20 minutes on just guns. I'm impressed. I didn't think I had much to say about it, but here we are.
No, it's funny because I think we in Australia, we're very insulated for a lot of the negative aspects of gun violence. We are in a country that has one of the lowest gun depth related murders in the world. We're not zero.
I kind of like how we get creative around here. One time someone tried to rob a petrol station with a syringe that they claimed was filled with AIDS blood. It was in fact not AIDS blood.
I remember that.
But still, yeah. It's like, wow, good on you, Australia, getting fucking creative.
Yeah, we still have plenty of ways to fuck people up, but guns being one of the few ways. I mean, the bikies have guns.
Yeah, they do.
There's always gun-related crime, but it's not quite as part of the culture as America is, and that's, I think, one of those things that, as an outsider to that, we don't have quite the same visceral positive or negative reaction. We don't.
Yeah, it's such a... Actually, I was going to say this before when I was asking if you'd ever fired a gun, is for most people in Australia, it's a movie thing. It's not a thing you've ever actually done in person. You can't wrap your brain around it.
I mean, I think the first time I saw a gun in real life was on a cop, just at McDonald's.
Really?
Like, they just walk in and you just look at their pouch.
Oh, I thought you meant they actually pulled it out and they were using it. Like, oh, shit.
No. No, that would have been a lot more... that would probably have been a memory I would have come up immediately more.
Yeah,
it's just... So there's always been more of a... So in England, like, guns, they're still guns. But, like, the bobbies don't use guns. So, like... Even there, you don't have that tight associations to guns and cops, and even here, you don't get the thing in America where it's like someone gets pulled over and shot just because they're not trained to do that. Like the gun is very much a last resort, and they'd rather go for the taser first than the gun, unless someone went for the gun.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I'm trying to do the research on the fly here. Gun fatalities last year in Australia was about 230.
Yeah.
And let's see what gun deaths in the US in 2020. Could you give me just a...
Well, okay, so the statistics are going to be a little bit skewed because of things like the pandemic and stuff
Oh my
like
God.
that. But
Sorry, yeah.
this particular year, we've seen a back up to the almost regular amount of gun violence regarding school shootings and mass shootings. So, yeah.
Okay, so we get about 230 deaths a year in the United States in 2020, the most recent year for which complete data is available. 45,222 people died from gun-related injuries in the United States.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That's kind of fucked.
Whoa, because I was looking at 230 going, man, that's a lot. No, it's not, apparently.
So this is one of the criticisms we can honestly level against RoboCop, not from a filmmaking production capability like movie critique, but as societal critique is, do movies like this contribute to this violence in an abstract kind of way? Do people see these movies and go, wow, that's so cool, I want to do that?
Yeah, there is always that argument, especially against video games, where people say, well, is this influencing people's minds? And I actually say fiction absolutely influences people. However, I don't think it's as dramatic as the pearl clutching conservatives say. Oh well, if you even fire a gun in a game, that's a gateway drug to actually using. No, it's not. But I think it does shape our attitudes, and if you are surrounded by positive depictions of guns or very casual depictions of guns, then you won't see it as frightening. But if you saw a lot of media that made it look scary and deadly, I think that would change your attitude.
No, that's pretty much exactly right. I was going to say, I was going to try not to sound like a hypocrite, because I do know a bit about this, but it's this is why we're going to the hypothetical. Media doesn't directly influence people like people try and claim video games. You've got the exact perfect analogy there. First-person shooters have never been linked to increase of violence. The link that happens is when people with a violent nature will play violent video games. Yeah. And that might inspire them, but that's also been the same for media.
What's the thing with alcohol or drugs or anything like that? If someone was already an asshole, it just brings that out. It's not that the drugs themselves are inherently going to cause that. I kind of take, I guess, sort of a middle-of-the-road approach with a lot of things where you go, well, everything in moderation, and if any sort of illicit substances or weapons or whatever, none of those things are inherently good or bad. It's how you apply those things in your own life. Yeah,
it's there've been plenty of studies about this, especially regarding the violent video game scapegoating with like Jack Thompson back in the 2000s and stuff like that. There's been a lot of insight into violent media, and it's true. Like, RoboCop is probably as much going to incite someone to turn themselves into a robot as it would be someone going and shooting cops. Yeah. If you look at it directly like that, it's more the critique is how does the media as a whole help? And yes, positive representation of truly heinous things has an effect. It does what's the term? It numbs the audience. It desensitizes people. So,
I don't know why my brain's jumping to this analogy of it's the difference between weather and climate. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, it's colder than usual this year, therefore global warming isn't happening." Well, no. So when you talk about the weather, in my analogy here, bear with me. So it's not directly cause and effect. Like, it's cloudy, therefore it'll rain. People are watching a lot of violence in television, therefore they're going to act it out. No, but it's climate. No. It's the climate that you're creating around this individual. It's the culture. And so if you have a culture with one kind of attitude, it's not one movie or one video game that's going to cause someone to act that way. It's just you're creating this climate of a certain kind of thinking, a certain perspective.
Exactly. And the 80s, there was very much this... well, this is the period of, like, the action hero, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, the Stallones, these...
Again, climate, and that influenced body image, and it wasn't just one movie or one actor, it was the climate of that.
Yeah. And this is also the Reagan period as well, so there's just this hypermasculinity going on with these heroes, and it's just the whole, they just go out and they just blast away and shoot, and they just shoot their problems away, things like that.
It is fascinating comparing this era, the 1980s action films, to modern Western culture, because we've gone so far the other way, where masculinity is now quite controversial, and we're seeing a more gentle masculine, or more empathetic culture in general, not just men, but men and women, and in general.
Well, it's also the fact that that's it. You're going to have more approaches to media, but we also saw basically we saw the death of the 80s action hero somewhere in the 90s, where especially like post 9/11, where we saw the emergence of, actually predating that, we saw the John McClanes more than we saw the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, and after that we saw the Jason Bournes, the James Bond getting a popular cultural resurgence.
I would throw Neo in there as well, because Neo does not feel an 80s action. So there is something a little bit more... I guess people make fun of the character's intellect, but I think he is a little bit more cerebral. He's a little bit more introspective, I want to say.
Well, he's also not quippy.
He's not quippy. He's very introspective. I feel like there's a lot going on behind his eyes. There's not so much said out loud.
Yeah, well, that's also been how... an extension of that would be, of course, naturally, John Wick.
Yes, yeah.
And John Wick is also an extension of the John McClane trope, the guy who can get his ass beat, but then still comes out on top,
Actually, it's funny, talking about John Wick, it's a little bit John Wayne. The names are very similar. There's a little bit of that John Wayne, but at the same time, I'd say he's more like a 90s action hero than anything.
Yeah, he's very much, the very much the John McClane. The John McClane...
You've done it again.
McCain, you've done it again.
No one else will know what that is.
Oh, the Aussies will know.
That's what matters most.
But yeah, it is interesting how the action hero genre, or the action genre itself, the action hero genre, and I think this is applying that to RoboCop. RoboCop is this stoic hero as well. He's he predates a lot of this type of stuff when you think about it. But where Stallone is like, Arnie's just all quips. Like, to have this character.
Well, no, it's like, ooh, and and ooh, and that's the
that's the
conversation
going for hours with not a single word being spoken.
Yes. No, that's why I think I'm drawn to RoboCop more than a lot of other 80s action protagonist heroes. Because there is that I don't know, he's not the toxic masculine archetype. There is a softness, there is an introspection, there's a gentleness to Murphy, and I think even though surprisingly we don't actually see that much of him. Having reviewed this 1 minute at a time, I realized, oh wow, the actual amount of screen time you get with Murphy as Murphy, is not that much, but you get so much of who he is. And a lot of that's because of Peter Weller bringing a lot of that too. It's just a lot of pathos. There's something very admirable about him as a character.
Well, even as RoboCop, that because Peter Weller's not playing him like a big bravado character.
Yeah, like they wanted in the script.
Yeah, he is a bit soft-spoken. He doesn't have any of that smarm or anything like that. So.
I think that stoicism is one of the most powerful aspects of RoboCop. And it's funny when we read the script, we always cringe.
Well, it's less the script, but the book.
Yes, sorry, yeah. And that kind of Duke Nukem kind of bullshit.
Oh, God.
And it's just, I guess Judge Dredd's a little bit that way, especially the Carl Urban version. They're just more stoic. They're straightforward. There's something about that character that I'm actually quite fascinated by the stripped back character, and to reference my other podcast, Covenant Minute. Yeah, I love David. Look, David's fantastic, and he's so melodramatic, and he's fantastic. But Walter, the other android played by Fassbender, I find characters like that really interesting, and you got to pay really close attention to them because they're not big, they're not in your face. There's a lot being communicated in this very stoic, subtle way, and I find that quite rewarding, actually.
Big props to Fassbender for Covenant. Okay, maybe Covenant didn't do as well, or I think it didn't hit the cultural zeitgeist as much as Prometheus, but Fassbender's acting in that movie, and especially when he's having to play off Walter and David.
Holy shit!
I think we've talked about this off mic. Is one of the things I caught on in the end of Covenant, and I loved, is when if you pay close enough attention, you can watch Fassbender as David pretend to be Walter, and that's just an extra layer of acting where you just go, "Fuck, this guy is so good. He's a piece of shit." Michael Fassbender's a piece of shit
as a person, yeah.
Yes, but he's a phenomenally good actor.
Yep.
Friend of the pod, Michael Fassbender.
Yep.
Oh shit, he could be a really good RoboCop.
Ooh, yeah.
He's got the face, he's got the chin.
He's definitely got a face.
Slender enough.
Yeah.
And he could act the fuck out of the duality of RoboCop.
Yeah, if any man knows how to act like a robot, it is that man. He's done it twice, at least.
He might not want to be typecast, but
maybe.
Yeah. If they were ever going to do a new RoboCop, and we sincerely hope not. No, again, I'm open to the idea of new movies and these kind of things, but they gotta be done with like actual care and passion, and not just a cheap knockoff. And we're not getting there yet.
Fingers crossed for the Christine remake by Brian Fuller. Oh, I'm anxious.
So I only got a couple more notes, mostly because the book and the script are exactly the same. But there's one line in this in this minute that stuck with me throughout my entire life, and occasionally I'll pull it out and it's, "I like it!" Fucking love that line.
It's a great line.
It is such a great line. And as a commentary note for that, Ed wrote it just not thinking much about it. And it was actually, that was all Paul McCann, who was just like, he really took that line and absolutely fucking owned it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
What is that? Have you ever seen, Streets on Fire, I think it's called Streets of Fire, yeah.
Streets on Fire? No, I can't say
It's
I've ever heard
Willem
of that
Dafoe,
one.
hang on, gonna look, Streets of Fire, hang on, Streets of Fire, Streets of Fire, 1984. Really great movie, and it's kind of got the same vibe. It's kind of like this rock star post-apocalyptic future with these kind of 1950s rock and roll elements as well. But
cool.
Yeah, there is something about that 50s slash 80s, or in this case specifically 80s, just that griminess, and I want to know what that is. What are we missing in modern cyberpunk apocalyptic movies? Is it just because it's filmed on film? There's just something about it we're missing.
I think one of the problems with I think this is especially true with like modern horror and the rise of digital technology, is something about, a lot of old horror, because it was shot primarily on 16mm film stock and projected roughly the same as 32, but because it's smaller, the actual silver nitrate crystals that are on the film look bigger on screen. That's where you get film noise from. Is actually the silver nitrates.
So like that grain and the noise and
yes. Yeah, same with cameras as well. But that's film. Slide cams are slightly different when you come to ISO speeds. But yeah, that's how like a lot of early horror was shot on 16mm. So the film itself has a grunge to it, and because it's usually low budget, shot at night so they could hide a lot of the cheap special effects, it becomes part of the filmic language. and when you put that onto now ultra modern clean digital technology and CGI, it doesn't work quite as well.
I miss that the sort of the grain and the texture and CGI and all that doesn't. It's not the CGI. It's just as a glossy fakeness to all movies now, and I hate it.
It's not to say that you can still do effective low budget horror with like a digital camera and stuff like that. I've seen a micro budget horror movie that I absolutely fucking love, but it's not relying on, you know, the special effects. It's relying on being really funny and smartly written, and also it's got a carousel unicorn that's got the entrapped the entrapped soul of a Nazi that goes around murdering people. So, and it's absolutely zero CGI. Like literally, you know, they've got a model carousel horse that they used to, like, you know, murder people with and stuff like that.
What is this?
It's called Carousel.
Carousel. Okay.
It is amazing. I've got it on DVD. It is online. You can find it on what's that? I think it's on the horror sales at Shudder. I think it's on there. You can find it online for free. It's so funny. And thankfully, the guy who created that is doing the Shingles movies that I kickstarted, and I can't wait for it to come out. But yeah, it is telling that, like, our technology improved and somehow it's made some things worse. And we need to reclaim some of that great low budget stuff and have it look a bit shit.
Yeah, because it's really hard to film on physical film, but you'd think we could just replicate that digitally.
There have been attempts. There's a lot of post-rendering that you can, like, plug into. Like, people will make and distribute plugins for, like, Adobe or DaVinci and stuff like that. That will add digital noise or digital grain. You can use, like, vignetting techniques and stuff like that. And there's ways to replicate film stock in these things as well. So, but sometimes there's just, I don't know, something's missing.
Yeah. Everything was better back in the day, and everything's bad now.
Well, here's a great example of something that's now done digitally, but couldn't do it back in 1987, and that is explosions. So I've got my last note, which is about the... I brought this up last minute. So there was an explosion in this minute that was a little bit bigger than I was expecting. According to Paul, the explosion was mostly safe.
Mostly.
So, John, the producer, clarifies the only real dangerous part was there was real glass on the set in the explosion. But the rest was what he refers to as foam and rubber cement. There's a realness that comes with practical explosions, same with the realness that comes with practical blood effects. We don't get that much in this movie, except maybe in the opening Murphy death scene. But CGI explosions, I just don't think they've ever gotten there. Like, no,
it is so much. I mean, they talk about this on Corridor Crew, and it's just the little imperfections. You have to work so hard to get just dirt and particulate elements and all that just to come together in such a way that replicates the chaotic nature of reality.
This is a great segue into one of their most recent videos. I don't follow Corridor Crew, but I do follow Adam Savage Tested.
Yeah.
And they just did the CGI versus practical special effects challenge.
And that's dealing with flesh as well.
Yeah, the Chinatown knife nose cutting scene, and they replicated it with Adam building a prop that mirrors the one from the movie with a blood pack and splurts and all that type of stuff. They timed it, and they could see what they could have done in CGI with the same amount of time and how good each one looks. What I love about that one is that I think both of them preferred each other's results.
I think that's always going to be the way, because if you've been working on something, like, I am sick of this, I don't want to look at it. Oh, you've done something different. Yeah. Oh, that must be better.
But it does tell you a lot about like how great a practical effect can still be in a digital age. And you could take some of that practical effects and you can always ramp it up digitally. So, like there's new filmmakers, or at least new big filmmakers like James Gunn comes to mind, who still likes to use practical special effects. I mean, yeah, he's making big budget Guardians of the Galaxy. It's got a ton of digital replacements and all sorts. But like, there's something to be said about the realness of a practical effect and then just enhance it or supplement it. So it still bothers me when I see CGI fire that doesn't light people's faces.
Oh my god, it's not that hard.
I've already had this rant on this podcast with a particular movie. I'm not going to mention it again, but it still bothers me when I see that in a movie.
Oh, are we... I friggin' forgot about gaslighting. I just looked at my notes.
No, we haven't got there yet, but yeah, that's better thing. Let's talk about a practical movie that's CGI crap. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about anymore.
By the way, Leon in this minute is kind of dressed like I do, the way I dress at work, which is I've got this black undershirt thing, a zip up, and then I got the jacket, and then I got a dog tag or a belt, and yeah.
Yeah, he looks smart.
He looks dope as hell.
So he doesn't have much dialogue. Actually, the funny thing is, it's something that's noted in the script. One of the reasons he doesn't have much dialogue in this particular minute, he was supposed to have had his jaw wired shut from his encounter with RoboCop.
That'd have been fun.
So they obviously didn't have much for him to say.
Have you seen Twin Peaks?
No.
Yeah. And then every time I look at him, I'm just expecting... Anyway, yeah, if you've seen Twin Peaks, he's just going to have a breakdown and start dancing or whatever.
Oh, well, yeah, well, it's David Lynch, you know, you expect the unexpected is just like, not even standard. It's like, you know, you can't even expect the unexpected. Because David Lynch will just take it in a fucking opposite direction.
Yeah.
Like, to what you... anything. Anyway.
Yeah. Sometimes it's totally normal. There's nothing to see here. It's fine. Don't worry.
Speaking of expecting the expected...
Gaslighting RoboCop.
Alex, how do you feel? I feel fine, Dr. Norton.
Minute 94 begins with soldiers opening fire on Norton. Or Norton antivirus, he should have downloaded that. And ends with Sellers apologizing to Clara for Alex's supposed death.
So, my first note is, apparently, gunfire doesn't wake Murphy, but loud shouting does.
I know, my first note was, Alex! Alex!
Like, he's shouting over the... You'd think a cop would hear gunfire and... Nah. Also, this is the minute where we're told that... I think it's... What's-her-face talking with Clara is that the event at the police station was, quote, last night. Given the last few minutes... and how it transitions from day to night, it seems to have done it like a couple of times, or at least very much, this does not feel like the next day.
No, too much is happening at once, but then that's how the movie is paced as well, so...
Yeah, so, no, bullshit. This, because it even sounded like even in the, I can't believe it's not media break section, is like, it felt like that happened a day or so before they reported it. It didn't sound like...
but then there was the Dreyfus Act as well, so in order for them to turn everything around based on the actions of Murphy, holy shit, no, that's not going to happen in a day. It just can't.
Fuck you, movie. Fuck you.
Also, I think he woke up just to the voice of Norton because of the power of love, because they're best buddies, as you can tell.
Crazy little thing called love. Also, this is my minute. Apparently, the transmitter that lets Sellers know that RoboCop is alive could be removed with like a pen off the side of his fucking head at any given moment.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like something you have to like cut out of your body. I don't know if you've seen The Boys, but recently, that happened. Just cutting out
I haven't
tracking.
caught up with.
Brutal.
I mean, but that's it. It's like, okay, why is it just a dongle on his fucking head?
Dongle.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be like, you know, if Sellers was that smart, wouldn't it be like transmission lost, not, oh, he must be dead, I guess.
Yeah.
It still doesn't change his plans because he still kidnaps Clara for reasons which make no sense if Murphy's dead. If he wanted to shut her up, he could have just killed the bitch.
Wait, yeah, hang on. That's a good question. Then he must have known that he wasn't dead. What?
But no! He assumes he's dead because he even says that to Maddox.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
fucking hell movie.
So let's
What
take
the fuck?
Clara hostage. Why did you expect
Reasons.
Lewis to come after you? What? I don't.
Hey,
Yeah, that
hang on, there's a Lewis in this movie?
sometimes.
Occasionally. Occasionally Lewis. It's the spin-off TV
Of
series
Gaslighting
after Murphy.
Yeah.
It's like was it Suddenly Susan? From
Yeah.
the 90s.
Yeah.
Occasionally Lewis. We have to have our own fun. This movie won't let us.
It's the only way we can get through this.
But yeah, I am just fucking over this film. I think that's the problem, is that we've still got like 10 or so minutes. Oh no, we've still got like slightly more than 10 minutes to go on this thing. No, it's worse than that. We have gone through the entire length of the original movie at this point in the remake. 93 minutes is where the last movie ended without, credits withstanding. So we've still got an extra like 10 or so minutes on top of that. And this is the only point of now where things are finally fucking happening. So it's a lot of shit in the compressed amount of time when they had like literally an entire movie's worth to do some of this crap.
I just don't get. Is there some, I don't know, motivation behind modern movies being so much longer? I don't get it.
Yes and no. It's a finicky balancing act. So there's some theory is about the length of the movie being tied to how many times it could be shown in a regular cinema session. So essentially the math is you want to try and maximize the amount of showings per day, but you don't want to be too long, but you want to maximize the amount of time. So it's gone from like 90 minutes to 2 hours on average. That's not including the big blockbusters, which are now getting to 2.5, 3.5 hours long. And the theory behind that is that you now maximize the amount of cinemas as well as the amount of sessions. So it's more money for bums on seats than anything else.
Huh.
Plus, there's a little bit of
Because wouldn't more sessions be the goal?
yeah, but that's it. It's also trying to if you can, how can I put it this way? Okay, look, we got to get our contractually obligated dig at Marvel's cinematic universes in this.
Yeah.
If you can get Avengers Endgame into 3 cinema screenings over the one, you're pushing out competition. And you've got the cultural zeitgeist behind you, and you're gonna be making a lot of money.
So it's sort of like musical chairs. I'm sitting on the seat, so you can't sit there.
Yeah. So cinemas, I'm not 100% sure of this. Again, I'm going in some years old information, thinking about this off the top of my head. Cinemas, for like 90% of a film's run, make fuck all. They make more money on cinema concessions and like event stuff, or like it's popcorn and sugar treats more than they do off the movie. For like the first 2 or 3 weeks of a run, it's usually the back end of the run where they start generating personal money. But by that sense, 10% of, say, it's probably not 10%, but like 10% of a movie that's making $1 billion is still a lot of money. But they get most of the ticket sales after its first run. Like, when they keep extending it, and they'll start... Once the initial returns come in, the cinemas don't care. They've already made $1 billion.
All right. And I forgot to mention that minute 95 begins with Sellers saying that he will announce Alex's death shortly, and ends with Alex saying, "You're working with the people who are trying to kill me." So, yeah, those were 2 other points that... yeah, so Sellers is talking to Clara and saying, "Oh yeah, sorry, your husband died, LeMayo, little rip," and
RSVP.
RSVP, yeah, and announcing Alex's death, and so fulfilling the plan of he's gonna die a hero and all that bullshit, and so Alex and the whole Murphy, I don't know what to call him. He's not really RoboCop. Feels wrong to call him that, but
Roboflag.
Roboflag, that feels more appropriate. But him saying to Norton, well, you're working with the people who are trying to kill me. I don't know, man. I mean, in that situation, there are people firing on you and Norton isn't, and he's telling you to get out of there, so
Yeah.
it feels contrived. It doesn't feel like it. I mean, it's cliche movie dialogue. It doesn't have any real meaning in that scene. Is it just me? Am I thinking this too hard? I don't...
No, I think we can firmly establish that this version of Murphy is not the sharpest tool in the shed.
No, he's the himbo version of RoboCop.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it, Murphy. Literally read the room. There's two guys with guns trying to kill you, and the one guy that's not...
He's telling you to run, and I don't want you to die, maybe.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. It's just... No. It's just...
I think this is a prime example of a scene that why it will fall flat every single time is that it's action pushing characters along, not characters pushing the story along. It has to be the other way around because it's just... I mean, it's the same thing with real life. Why do things happen? Well, sometimes there are natural disasters. There are things out of your hands. But actually, the movie disaster genre, I think that's actually a really good allegory because, well, I'm not a big fan of the natural disaster ones, but when they work, why do they work? It's not because of a very impressive cyclone or flood or... No. It's the characters. It's how the characters react and survive and adapt. And so what we have in the RoboCop remake a lot of the time, especially with Roboflag himself, he is not a character first. He is a plot device. And we've talked about that a lot of the times where, well, hang on. Okay, so if you wanted to just not have him be a real character, you make all the characters around him use him in different ways, and that could have been a great idea. So, yeah, that's one way you could... Here's some writing 101, I guess.
Yeah, listen up, Hollywood. We know you're a fan.
Isn't that funny though? I'm not even a published author, and I feel like I have a firmer grasp on this basic shit than this multi-million-dollar Hollywood movie. I'm not being arrogant. I'm actually baffled. I'm surprised. I'm confused.
Well, this is one of those movies that just ultimately feels like it was made by a committee, or at least it was made by studio executives more so than it was an auteur project or a passion project of someone. Like we've talked about the director previously, and again this not necessarily a shade on him, but this entire project is steeped with cynicism, and I think that's the thing. We've gone about how these actors are great. For the most part, they're really good, but the material they're given is just nothing. And even when you get two powerhouse actors like Gary Oldman and Michael Keaton into this thing, and they're giving everything they've got, but it's ultimately just failing because there's still nothing to grasp on. And our title character, the guy we should be rallying against, we don't give a flying fuck about him. We don't know this character, realistically speaking. We know more about the characters in his life, but exactly what you said, they're still not interesting.
Yeah. And because I spent so long with these characters, I'm thinking, oh, well, you could do this, and you could just tweet. It's like, I don't know, me standing around your filthy Camry, and also your dad told me to give you shit about it. And I'm just standing around and going, I could buff that out. Oh, I give that little wipe down. Oh, what if I just corrected this? And
the difference is that for me, a car is a utility, whereas I don't see a person as a utility in a storytelling in a storytelling context. You give characters tasks. You give them situations for them to overcome. That's part of narrative. None of these characters have any... Okay, so probably the one character that has a clearly assigned goal from the beginning of this movie to this end of this exact point right now is Sellers. We know his goals. We know what he wants to do. He's being clear as crystal about all this stuff. He wants to get this Dreyfus Act appealed so he can have his killer bots unleashed upon America. What is Murphy's goal? We don't know.
Yeah.
We kind of know Gary Oldman's goal when he decides on it. And that's the other problem. We keep referring to these guys and girls by their actors' names or other names because most of the time we can't even remember half these characters' names.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember everyone in the original a little easier.
Yeah, and none of these characters I really give a shit about. Like, we even joke about how little Lewis is in this film, and I honestly barely remember him the first time watching this beyond the first moments he's in it. I forgot that he's in the rest of this film. I don't even recall if he's in the rest of this film at this point. The last we saw of him was at the cop shop. I do not recall if he's ever in a single minute of the rest of this film. I just don't. As sad as it sounds, because, again, great actors, but I don't know. I don't care. But, yeah, we've only got, like, 10 or something more minutes of this fucking film.
We're nearly done.
Yeah.
Where can the lovely listeners find you?
The lovely viewers can find me at Painting with Night Photos. That's Painting with Night, no caps, no gaps, on Instagram and the Facebooks, and paintingwithnight.com.
You can find me at traviandesigns.com, Travian, and Courtney Colson on YouTube, and I am Courtney and Ivy on Instagram, and I went to Cars and Coffee today, so you can see my photos of my beautiful car. And you can find us at 60 Seconds to Apply on both Instagram and Twitter, although I don't use Twitter that much because I don't understand Twitter. It's scary and I'm old.
Twitter's not a great promotional tool for the most part. Unless you already got a lot of followers. And also Facebook.
Yeah, people are loving our Robocop or OCP costume, so if you want to check that out, head on over there.
Yeah.
You can find us at Simplecast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, which I've never understood how it works. It seems to be working.
Apparently, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. If you're hearing this, it's working. And have we got any reviews? We should probably read them out.
Not last I checked.
And YouTube. Subscribe. Leave us some comments. Make us feel loved. And shit. Was there another one? There's another one.
No, I usually just go on rambling about the fucking algorithm because their algorithm.
Oh yeah, fucking algorithm, blah blah blah. And until next time.
So my Robocop is also a 50 caliber assault cannon with video targeting.
Jumanji. Okay.